So, what did I miss? According to my multiverse watch, we're currently in Universe 001 at timeline H131P at approximately June 11th, 2024 AD. Hey, you hear that? I guess it's been long enough. I guess that means I can ditch this old watch from the 80s and don my Apple Watch again. Oh, how I missed this. So, you're probably wondering, Lazy, where have you been these past 2 years? That's a good question. On another note, I also found my old color-changing hoodie from my previous videos. I had a lot of fun with this thing. Ah, there we go. Actually, hold on, wait a second. Oh, no, wait. Ah, the classic color. Huh. I've been looking for this. And this. And this. You know, I've always been wondering, whatever happened to my infinitely duplicating hoodie? I've been in short supply on them, and there's a lot of people getting really angry looking for them. Oh no. The closet. Well, I'm never going in there again. But anyways, enough about me. Let's see all the stuff that I missed out on during my 2-year break. Meanwhile, on Discord.
Two hours later.
So, I've been doing some digging, and I found out that the team got absolutely nothing done during the whole time I've been away. Yup, we're starting from where I last left off. An incomplete version of Chapter 1 of UNDERFELL. Not even past the ᵘᵃᵏᵏ fight. Looks like we're just in the same situation as Half-Life 3. Fell's gonna kill me if they find out I have a stolen copy of Half-Life 2 Episode 3 from an alternate timeline. But they'll never know. Unfortunately, one of my favorite Undertale mods, Undertale Bits and Pieces, has been discontinued. Darn. Apparently, the creator of the game turned out to be, well, not good. You know, if I had 1G for every time an Undertale creator turned out to be a horrible person, I'd have 2G, which is not a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right? Oh, hold on, I forgot to turn on the music. There we go. I know, that wasn't great news. But some good news came out of my 2-year break. Apparently, Undertale fan games have been releasing faster than ever before. You got Undertale Yellow as a full game, which, frankly, I'm quite surprised. I thought that game was dead. And then you got Delta Traveler Section 3, which involves a very strange alternate take of Underfell. But it's the take that's made by the same guy who made the game, so I guess it would make sense that he would do that. And then you got TS UNDERSWAP Chapter 2, so you could see more of who Crossbones is. Frankly, he's like a weird mixture of Swap Sans and Classic Sans. Huh. Oh, he's also a superhero. And that's not the only good news. Apparently, while I was gone, 2 new episodes of Underverse dropped. You got 0.7 Part 1, which includes Fresh Ink, which I was kind of confused on who that was. It didn't really make much sense until I saw the episode. Then you got Part 2, which shows more of Classic Gaster, Fatal Error, and Geno. And still no Horrortale Sans. Back on subject with my Undertale AU project, most of you are probably still in the dark about what's been going on behind the scenes. So I guess an explanation's in order. This is probably the last of the videos I'll make where I'll give a long spiel. so buckle up, I got a lot to say. You'd make my job a lot easier if you watched my previous videos, but if you're too lazy for that, which I can respect, I guess the long and short of it is, Undertale was made in 2015, and then a few years later, when the fanbase grew, eventually Undertale AUs were becoming a thing. There was UNDERFELL, which was made by ၀ⁱᵗʰ, which is effectively the Undertale hard mode we never got. All of the characters are less friendly and a lot more edgy. Then you got UNDERSWAP, made by Popcorn Prince, which is effectively Undertale, but all the characters trade places in pairs. And then you got OUTERTALE, which is just Undertale in space. Not much else to be said because there's nothing else about the AU. With that said, these AUs have been around for a long time, but despite that, there hasn't been playable games, which is shocking, because you should see the amount of fan content that they got. They got fan animations, fan art, remixes on SoundCloud, sometimes even on Spotify even. This is where I come in. I was in the Undertale community, but I wasn't terribly active, and I was kinda shocked when I found out that these AUs, despite the popularity, don't have playable games. So, eventually, I was just... well, I guess I was making mods just to give myself some playable copy of the game while I waited for someone else to do it. But nobody came. And I was kinda disappointed. So I pulled a Thanos and said, fine, I'll do it myself. At the time, I didn't really have much. I just had a Steam copy of Undertale and OpenGML, which was useful because it allowed me to extract all of the files raw out of the game, but it had a lot of limitations. Apparently, if I tried to modify any of the files I extracted out and re-imported back in, if the modified file was too big, or at least bigger than the original file, it would reject it. And if I forced it to work, it would break. To my luck, I found another mod on the internet called the Undertale Better Graphics mod, which just simply gives the game better graphics. It's kind of self-explanatory. You install it by using a software called ᵘᵃᶜᵏ, which, upon discovering this software, I decided, why not use it for my own mod? So, the whole point of ᵘᵃᶜᵏ, as the name implies, allows you to translate the game into other languages. Though, if you're like me, or the guy who made the Undertale Better Graphics mod, we didn't translate it into other languages, we just modded the dialogue and the sprites. ᵘᵃᶜᵏ is a lot better than OpenGML because it doesn't have that stupid limit of how long or how big the file can be. So that was a plus. Thing is, there is still some limitations that it didn't solve. For example, sprites. I could modify sprites however I wanted by simply ripping them out and putting them back in, but if I wanted to use a character sprite that was bigger than the original, it wouldn't fit. So, I mean, if you take ʷⁱᵗⁱ, for example, if I tried putting him into a Classic Sans sprite, he'd be cut off. So, I had to compromise by either making him as short as Classic Sans, or a walking pair of trousers, so he looks like he's from Onward. So I transitioned to one more software called the Undertale Mod Tool. It's an Undertale mod tool. Need I say more? The Undertale mod tool, I have yet to find any real limitations. You could do basically anything with it. The whole mod tool is entirely responsible for the creation of Undertale bits and pieces. So in theory, you can make whatever game you wanted. Back in my days of ᵘᵃᶜᵏ, I had 3 prototypes, one for each AU, and they were mostly complete, albeit extremely buggy and mediocre quality, but I found out ᵘᵃᶜᵏ was exclusive to the older versions of Undertale, and the Undertale mod tool was exclusive to the modern version of Undertale. So porting it was no easy feat. Unfortunately, I lost the UNDERSWAP prototype. In an attempt to fix the swoppapyrus issue, I must have deleted the old prototype of UNDERSWAP, because I can't find it anywhere on my computer. So I guess it's lost. Forever. But there is a tech demo I made, just to prove that it was possible to use swoppapyrus. The thing is though, it's literally just the Sands of Papyrus first encounter with Underswap overworld sprites, but that's it. Everything else is vanilla Undertale. So for those of you on the Discord who have been complaining about that and asking why, well that's why. I've done nothing else about it. This is when I released my first video titled I Made Underfell Because Nobody Else Will. Which is not entirely wrong because I have yet to see a fully playable copy of Underfell, especially one that follows the canon of the original AU creator. But in that video I effectively just told the internet I was finally taking these 3 AUs and making them playable games. And I posted the video, went to bed, and my YouTube feed exploded. Now there's just this ridiculous theory that I'm sans Undertale. I mean, come on. Do I look like a skeleton to you? Ow. The only really feasible explanation for how that could happen is if someone reverse engineered a dark fountain so they can transcend fiction. But that's crazy talk. I mean, come on. This is just as ridiculous as the Ness is sans theory. Oh, hold on. Give me a call. Hey, Strongfish91. What's up? I assume you're calling because you wanted to play hockey again. Huh? Pat. Retired? Why? Oh. Darn. I was planning on making a satire YouTube video about him, but I guess that's no longer appropriate. Darn, I was gonna call it lame theory. What else happened while I was gone? Before the video, I had 44 subscribers on my channel. After the video, I had 3K, which grew to 8K. I'm still trying to wrap my skull around how that happened. After the video, I went to work. I made a Discord server and posted all of my prototypes on there. At least the UNDERFELL prototype, the OUTERTALE prototype, and the UNDERSWAP tech demo. And after I did that, I got a lot of submissions from the internet about sprites and music and other forms of things that helped me make the game, so I was getting help from the internet. And then I trap-carded the internet into setting up a dev team for me. When I released my second video, you know, the first development video with a picture of Sans doing a Spider-Man point with UNDERFELL Sans, when I made that video, I was basically just announcing my plans for the project and what I hoped to see out of it. Thing is, I didn't think they would be set in stone, so that's why they were free to be adjusted. And at the time, I knew very little about what was and wasn't canon regarding those AUs, so they've had to be modified quite a bit, but my plans are still very ambitious for the project, which does not mix well with being lazy. But I've got a brother who helps keep me motivated, so I guess there's that. The thing is, when I was going to set up that dev team, I was contacted by a guy named Totally Not Lazy Bones, which is funny because that's a joke that I'd make. And he was basically saying, maybe you shouldn't set up the dev team. Maybe you should get someone else to set up the dev team. So I complied, and I got someone else to do it. Though, the original guy who set up the dev team kinda left for his own reasons, but that's besides the point. I got a different dev team than I would have had I not been contacted by that fella. The thing is, Totally Not Lazy Bones, we have so much in common. We tell the same kind of jokes, we have the same kind of ideas and creativity. We might as well be the same person from alternate timelines. Anyways, off subject, after I set up the dev team, I found out the original guy I was going to add to the team got arrested. Well, glad I avoided that. You know, when I first set up that dev team, the people on it were all really wonderful people. I mean, they all had so much talent. There were artists, there were coders, there were script writers, music makers, you name it. Everything you could ever need for a team. Though, they weren't very organized. In fact, because I was the leader, you know, someone who's lazy, we kinda slacked a lot and wasted time talking on Discord. In fact, we barely did anything regarding the development of games. After my second video, development only had me not even past the ᵉᵃᵏ fight. The thing is, not really much has changed since then. When I set up the dev team, eventually we made a little tech demo showing Flowey, but we spent a lot of time on Discord. I am very easily distracted. So that's when I released my third video. You know, my second development video. In that video, I was kind of talking about the team and how they've changed a lot. I wasn't the kind of person who wanted to be the actual leader because I was kind of lazy. I mean, it's kind of obvious by now. So I was kind of less of a actual leader or a dictator and more of a fellow team member. In that team, we were going through our plans and we were kind of going through things with votes, which was nice, but the votes were kind of pointless since there are people all around the world in the dev team, and when some of us were awake, others were asleep. So we couldn't have a time where all of us could vote. So if anyone misses the vote, we end up re-voting. which is pointless because we always end up voting the opposite of what we previously voted. Oh boy, is that confusing. We were in the drawing board phase for a very long time. You know, I had a lot of ideas for the project, all those ambitious ideas I was telling you about. When I was sharing it with the dev team, most of them were kind of shot down brutally, which was kind of hurtful. But hey, I'm a resilient guy. Despite the opposition, I still stood my ground and I was willing to work with the team and see what we got, but I had to do a lot of compromising. A month in with being in the dev team, I made a horrible realization. I'm working with the Undertale community, which has a habit of being toxic and degenerate. Not that anyone in the dev team was like that, but sometimes there was some toxicity and hatred towards each other. So we've argued quite a bit, and it's kind of sad. Not gonna lie. Just so that I'm not spreading misinformation, I will admit there have been times I've given communication errors, but that was mainly because I assumed things that I guess was wrong. So I guess that was the cause of some of those arguments, but overall, the project wasn't really doing hot because of all of those arguments. You know, the dev team had so much talent, but so little unity. I tried making it work, but I guess it just wasn't the right call. As if things couldn't get any worse, my personal life got in the way. Believe me, I wanted to work on the project, but because of what was happening in my life, I was just not able to. It wasn't a choice, it was up to me. I'm never gonna tell you guys what I've been doing while I was gone. Do guess, I'd love to hear the theories, but you'll never hear it from me. I handed the project over to one of the devs to run it while I was gone, so that when I come back, I actually have content to work with. Though, I guess they were still arguing a lot, and also wasn't exactly liking the direction it was going either. But thankfully, I had Totally Not Lazybones on my side. I trust him completely, so I was able to give him my login info and he spoke on my behalf. I guess he must have put the project on hiatus. I found out mere moments ago. A lot of you are probably wondering why I'm back so early. 6 months early even, instead of December 7th like I've been constantly advertising. Well, let's just say I've got a brother that doesn't like me slacking off. When he found out, he said my break was over early. So here I am. So now that I'm back, Phase 3 of the X event, Project Jumpstart, can continue. A lot of the dev team members kind of left in my absence for reasons of their own. So, I guess I'm starting from scratch again. But that's okay. I can trap card the internet again to get me a dev team. And I did. I know I have an influence on people. I already know that I inspired a guy named ᵘᵈ to create a game called ᵃᵃ⶜ᵏ, which is effectively just the UNDERFELL version of Deltarune. It's funny because his first video was labeled, "I made ᵃᵃ⶜ᵏ because nobody else will," which is modeled after my first video. So I know I've inspired people before, but apparently while I was gone, I inspired another guy to organize his own dev team so they can make the mod in my absence. So now, I've got people making UNDERSWAP for me. And they've already managed to make 2 chapters. So, great! Where I was going during my break, I did not have access to the internet. It just didn't exist there. All that there was a chat system with a single celebrity. So, it's not like I had access to Photoshop. But, I didn't let that stop me. So instead, I made physical concept art for the project. It's nice, isn't it? Thanks to Totally Not Lazybones, I was able to get him to take pictures of all of my concept art and upload it on Google Drive since he had access to the internet, which was awesome, because now the people can know what I was up to in my absence. The thing is, thanks to Totally Not Lazybones, I was also able to make postcards so people know that I was not dead, and that I still planned on coming back and had a lot of plans for the project. For those of you who doubted me, I told you I'd come back. If it wasn't obvious, the project could have died multiple times. But I bent time and space so it never happens. You can say I'm the kind of guy who's pulling the strings, am I right? That new dev team that was making UNDERSWAP, they modeled their project specifically after my concept art, because they made their project so that it'll aid mine when I come back. So now I actually have content to work with. So yeah, they did their job. I can thank them for that. And to all the people who were once in the dev team and no longer are, I am gonna miss you guys. Arguments and all. So if you ever want to come back, offer is always on the table. There are a couple people from the old dev team that decided to return, and well, I'm happy to work with all of them. So nice. But of course, even though all the others left, I was able to interview the new dev team one person at a time, so that I have a much more organized dev team. And as much as I hate it, I guess having to actually stand up and be a leader is something that's just going to happen if this project is going to stay alive, so I guess I'll do that then. With the project, I plan on being a lot more hands-on. You see, back when I was by myself, I was the only guy making the game, and I was whipping out content, like, quickly. But then when I had the old dev team, we kinda just stopped and waited until we finished everything. But because of those arguments, nothing ever happened, so we entered the Half-Life 3 syndrome of being in development hell forever. But now that I've got this new dev team that's much more willing to work with me and they're specifically following tasks that I assign them, they actually know how to be unified. So progress can actually continue again. I actually had to leave for a brief moment just so I can make this video, but when I'm done, I'm gonna go straight back to it. My original plan was to release the first chapter of UNDERFELL, then do the same thing with UNDERSWAP, and then OUTERTALE. And when I'm finished with all 3 AUs, I make the second chapter of each AU, one at a time until I finish the project. And, well, that was the plan, but I guess with the old dev team, they were more motivated to get UNDERSWAP done. And it looks like this new dev team is doing the same thing, since they've made specifically 2 chapters of UNDERSWAP. I guess everyone likes that AU a lot more. So I guess I'll just prioritize that first. But of course, when we're done with chapter 1 of UNDERSWAP, we're going back to UNDERFELL, and then OUTERTALE, just so that we're giving love to all 3 AUs and then we don't drop any of them. Thanks to Totally Not Lazy Bones, we also got direct approval from the AU creators. You see, on Tumblr, Totally Not Lazy Bones, on my behalf, made a post on the official UNDERFELL Tumblr. And he effectively announced the project so that Fella knows what we're up to. I mean, I knew that Fella was actively supporting anyone who makes an UNDERFELL fan game since, you know, they weren't going to make UNDERFELL themselves. But then, after this post, we got direct approval. It was awesome. Totally Not Lazy Bones made the same post on the Canon UNDERSWAP Tumblr as well, hosted by UNDERSWAP 3. Now, of course, I know that's not Popcorn Prince, but that's probably the closest we're ever going to get to that. See, Popcorn Prince is off-grid, forever. The reason why is because of the UNDERTALE community. They're degenerate. And toxic. So I guess he was fed up with it and he left, never to be seen again. That makes UNDERSWAP now public domain since it's been abandoned. So anyone can do whatever they want with UNDERSWAP now. Though, of course, don't be a degenerate, that's stupid. Supposedly, UNDERSWAP 3 knows Popcorn Prince in some way, shape, or form. I guess he has his contact info, and Popcorn Prince stated to him that he doesn't want to be contacted. So, I guess contact with Popcorn Prince is not an option, but approval from UNDERSWAP 3 would really boost morale. So after that post, UNDERSWAP 3 approved. So we're good to make UNDERSWAP. And then there's OUTERTALE. The AU was made by 2MI127, also known as ᵃᵃᵜᵏ. The thing is, the AU is so vague. It's just in space, and they have different outfits. That's it. There's nothing else. Of course, there was also PS OUTERTALE that attempted to make their own alternate take of what the AU would look like, but, I mean, it's not what I had in mind, but hey, it's a thing. Though it's exclusively on a website, I think there might be a downloadable executable, but it's not easy to access for me at least. I don't know. So I decided I'm just going to keep making my own take on it instead, based off of what I've seen has been stated, the very little that has been stated, and I just filled in the gaps. In fact, 100% of the OUTERTALE lore was made by me. There's like nothing else about the AU that's original. Of course, I still got Totally Not Lazy Bones to make the post on the official OUTERTALE Tumblr, but it hasn't been touched for many years. So I doubt anyone's ever gonna read it. So the thing is, I guess since we've made so much of the AU our own, we've made up our own lore and everything, it's just original now. There's not much left for ᵃᵃᵜᵏ to coin, aside from maybe the outfits. So, as long as we credit them, we're in the clear. The moral of the story, Project Jumpstart is still very much alive, and I've never seen this much content get pushed out so quickly, so clearly we're making progress. These AUs are great. Where can I play them? You can. They exist. So if you want to play the games, go look at the public Discord. It's got 2 of the 3 AU prototypes that wasn't destroyed by error, and also that UNDERSWAP tech demo. And of course, we're also going to be releasing the 2 beta versions of UNDERSWAP that were created by Mark's team. So we got a lot of content to work with. And of course, by the time we're done with this video, we're going to be going through progress a lot. So very soon we're going to actually finish the entirety of Chapter 1 of UNDERSWAP. It's good to be back, am I right? Just remember my motto, don't die, it's bad for your health.